Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share insights on what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Feely, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Before I start today's show, I have exciting news for founders, CEOs, and franchise brand presidents. Join me January 14th through the 16th, 2025 in Tampa for the first ever Emerging Franchise Brands live event, an exclusive opportunity designed just for you. It's my blueprint for success at every stage of franchising, one I wish I'd had, packed with real-world solutions and strategies to solve your challenges today and prepare for those you'll face tomorrow. Space is limited, so head over to emergingfranchisebrands.com to secure your spot today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the founder of Vanity Fur, Jean Marie Arellano. Jean Marie, how are you?
I'm great, Frank. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being on the show. So tell us all about Vanity Fur. How did this start?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we only have an hour, right? So I'm going to try to condense it. So I guess I have to back up and take you from where I began before Vanity Fur. So I was basically general manager in a few different restaurant concepts. So I was in the hospitality industry for 12 and a half years.
Okay.
Started as a bartender in my 20s, just had to work. So then I got promoted into the old spaghetti factories, and I was general manager for several of their concepts. Great business, learned so much with them. But something said, 5 years in, there's something more for me out there. So then I left for, at that time, I think more money. So then I found Yard House Restaurants, wonderful concept. They're super successful. And I just sort of kind of felt turned and burned more there, and opened up one of their historical openings in the Rancho Cucamonga area. And it was just 16-hour days, 6-day weeks. It was brutal. And I ended up leaving there because, again, unfulfilled, just like there's got to be something better. So then I find improv comedy clubs, and how amazing, I'm getting paid now to laugh. And you know me, I love laughing. Humor is, where that's my base. Humor, I find humor in a lot of things, and even in in the valleys. Right. But so I'm there. I love it. I'm assistant general manager. I'm getting paid to laugh. I'm paying comedians. And, at that point, they were going to promote me to be a general manager with them in their Irvine club. Okay. So excited about it, but realized that I really didn't have the control that I needed to achieve what they wanted me to achieve. Simultaneously, I also realized that I think this was my turning point when I began Vanity Fur. What I realized is I'm writing checks to these big names, these big comedians, and I realized reading their contracts, they were all their own brands and they were all their own businesses. And what I really learned was I'm writing them a check for my annual salary, and they just spent the weekend here. So it was really my turning point where I thought, well, if they can do it, having fun at what they're doing, I can go find what it is that keeps calling me away from this thing. So I ended up quitting and leaving reluctantly. By the way, I have a million friends from all of these concepts. I had great experiences. I employed hundreds of employees. I learned so much in that time frame, but I left. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was newly married at that time. And, he probably thought, well, what the heck are you doing? And I'm just following my gut. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Awesome.
I have a steady job for all these years, and now you're just going to wing it. And yeah. And so I literally fell back into bartending, and I'm just going to do what is my passion. And I had a few things. One of them would have taken me back to the restaurant. I love cooking, but I'm not going back there. The other thing is animals, pets. I just am going to do something I'm passionate about. So I make up these silly business cards like on Vistaprint, put my dogs on it in my backyard, and I'm bartending. I'm passing them out. Hey guys, by the way, I'm going to watch dogs in my backyard, and this is what I'm going to do. And I met this gentleman, and he says, you should meet my wife. She's a mobile pet groomer. I didn't even know what a mobile pet groomer was. Never even thought about a groomer or grooming. Never thought about that. Seems high skilled. I don't know. And then she comes in one night, and I go out and see her vehicle, and she takes me out for a day that week. And I was just sold. I'm like, this is for me. Are you kidding? Because I can't really be kept in four walls. I learned that early with my parents' businesses. I just can't be in an office all day. Now I love to be in my office actually, but that is where it started. So I go to school. I become a cat and a dog groomer. I learned that while they're building a trailer for me. So I am going to get a truck and a trailer, and I'm off to business in about 6 weeks.
What year is this?
This is 2010.
Okay.
So yeah, now we're in 24. So, 14 years ago.
Sure.
And so I start, and I love it. I love meeting the dogs and meeting the clients. And I love talking to people and like learning what they're going through. And then of course the dogs, the fluffy.
Of course.
So I just really loved it. But that what I realized is I couldn't keep up with like the demand. I filled up so quickly. I could only do so many dogs. Then I found a girl, and so she was a groomer. So then I built another mobile, and I customized that different. And then this starts probably 2012 to 2016, where I just keep growing and keep getting another mobile. And every time I got another mobile, I would customize it. I customized different trailers at that time, trucks, trailers, to be more conducive to the large senior pet with bad hips, and then the groomer, because it wasn't really built for the groomer. So I just wanted to make that scenario better. And so 5 builders later, now we're only doing vans. We've ditched the trucks, trailers, and generators for good reasons. And so it just started. But what I realized is like, I'm never going to be able to keep up with business. Even though they're building, more mobiles, there's competitors. She's building more mobiles for other people to be business owners, which were groomer business owners. But yeah, so that's like how Vanity Fur started. And then I don't know, I just knew I needed to franchise this thing, because how am I going to keep up?
Yeah. Okay. So how did franchising come into be? Like, you must have had this defining moment where something happened and you said, I've got to figure out, how am I going to expand?
It was 1,000% that. But if back when I was in the restaurants, because I was just trying to figure out it's not that I was unhappy, but why am I not fulfilled? Why is this not working out for me? And I'm a huge, back then I had to read books or listen to CDs, and thank goodness for podcasts and Audible. But I was just consuming really Robert Kiyosaki and Tony Robbins, which I know you're a Tony Robbins fan.
Huge fan. Yeah.
I walked on fire too.
Yes.
But yeah. So I was really consuming really Robert Kiyosaki and that whole rich dad, poor dad thing. And I just started understanding, if I'm going to grow and scale, it's got to be through this franchising model. Smart. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to learn more. And then I found some franchise advisors, which were monumental, are still very helpful to have the advisory to walk you through it, because you realize it's a whole new beast. It's a whole new animal. This isn't dog grooming anymore. It's not fluffy. It's not, cute anymore. This is a whole new real business. And I don't know. I just knew I wanted to franchise. There were people saying, no way, it costs too much money. You'll never, you can't do it. And so then I'm like, well, I'm going to do it, so. Yeah.
Well, you've learned the most valuable lesson, Jean Marie, is that you've already realized, though you've only franchised now for about 3 years, that you're in a completely new business, because as much as you love dogs, you get a chance to impact others through your franchise owners by impacting their lives, and they get to impact their clients' lives. So you get so much further of a reach, but you realize you're in the franchise business, not necessarily in the dog grooming business anymore.
Yeah. And that they are also fellow dog lovers. Dog lovers can just connect already. But
totally.
To be able to grow and scale, and hopefully one day we get a national footprint, but doing it through people that are like-minded that are entrepreneurial and want to scale and really grasp how hard it is to get a groomer, that they get the fire in their belly and they love, doing what they're doing. And it's just, I love it so far. So far, I was a horrible student in school, but man, I can just learn about franchising. I nerd out on it, really. I love it. It's, and now my manager, who was a groomer, she was also a pet groomer. She's been with me 9 years. I have other groomers that have been with me she's been with me 10 years. The other ones have been with me 8 and 9 years. And then the others are year or two. But now she's got she really sees the vision now. And for the last couple of years is with me at franchise conventions, and she wants this as bad as I do. And so it's just fun when everybody gets fired up about it.
It is amazing when you have that experience where you realize the business is so much bigger than you and other people see your vision and then they come with ideas. And it's just, that is the power of franchising, right? 101.
Yes. I want your story one day, Frank. There we go.
Well, my story, I always tell people when they go, oh my gosh, like I-9, it was successful. It was a 20-year overnight success, truly. It really was. There was nothing overnight about it other than we made a lot of mistakes, but I always say we learn from our mistakes, and that's the only thing you could do is learn from them, learn from your mistakes quickly, and don't make the same mistake twice, for God's sakes, because they are awfully expensive.
Yes, I was going to say, if you did, that would cost you a lot of money. And every time that not every time, there's been a handful of times where I have made a high dollar mistake. Sure. And even if I get going against the advice of my attorney, he'll love that I said that, because he did tell me it. It's like, I told you not to do that. And I said, yeah, but I was excited. I wanted, to grow Vanity Fur as fast as I know it could.
Right.
But it was expensive, and I just call it my franchise education.
There you go. Yeah. Well, one of the speakers I love in business is Keith Cunningham. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Keith, but Keith is he teaches at Business Mastery at Tony's program, and Keith talks about paying the dumb tax, and he says Keith always says that every mistake he's ever made always started out as a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and no matter who told him what to do.
Exactly, right? We've never said, oh, this is a terrible idea. Let's go ahead and do it. We always start out with, this is a great idea. Let's go ahead and do it. And then we find that we run into problems. We're like, why didn't I see that, right?
Yeah, I think I read his book, if he has a book, because I know that I've read it all about dumb tax.
His book is called, I highly recommend it. It's called The Road Less Stupid.
Yes. Yeah, I have. It's in my Audible. I have consumed it. Yes.
It is. We've all paid the dumb tax. Every single one of us. You just don't want to pay too much dumb tax.
No. Yeah. And it makes us smarter. It really does.
It does. It does when we learn from it, for sure. And then we get to help franchisees so they don't make those same mistakes as well. And that's part of the thing when we franchise. Like, you've taken enough time. You started your business in 2010. You didn't franchise to 2021. You've had enough runway where you got a chance to make your own mistakes, which, Jean Marie, a lot of people have this great idea and they go, oh my God, I love this, I'm going to franchise it. And they franchise it before they get the systems and processes ironed out. And then who pays the price for not getting the systems and processes down in place? It's always our franchisees. And that's where franchising gets into trouble. And that's where other franchisors do get themselves in trouble when they don't say, hey, I've got to really figure this out, because you don't want our franchisees to be guinea pigs.
No, absolutely not. And that's why I've customized a million vehicles. I mean, I've perfected a lot of it, and the correct hires. If you can go out and go start your own thing. Sure. And I wish you the best of luck, but I've already done that. I've done that for 14 years, and all that we've learned with, vehicles and bad hires and, gosh, the list goes on, bad technology, and then so you've done it and you perfected it. And now I have this for you so that you don't have to struggle as much. You're still going to, business owner still has, the things, or, this, and exactly. You won't have to do as much of it.
Well, I sense that you have a special relationship and culture with the, with the people that you work with. What would you say has been key to bringing the right people on versus learning from those mistakes from hiring the wrong person?
Yeah, I'm a hopelessly authentic person, honestly, to my detriment sometimes. And I like that in people. When you're authentic and just transparent, you're going to get the right people.
Yeah.
You know, you are, kind of shallow and you're hiding or masking this over here. It's going to come back to you and not in the right way. And just really listening. I think listening more than talking, because if you listen long enough to somebody, and you just, reserve your right. I love Dr. Phil. He says, reserve your right to shut up. Just shut up long enough, listen long enough, and
True.
And you're hear what you need to hear.
Yeah.
So really, I just feel like that, and nurture. Like, what are they going through? Because owners can be going through a lot of personal stuff.
Yes.
And maybe the business, shouldn't. Maybe that's not the forefront right now.
Yeah.
It would be next week, but maybe, they need a moment. You have to just respect where people are, I think, if I answered your question.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. Also, when we know we're interviewing somebody, we know they're on their best behavior. And I sometimes, unfortunately, say, I feel like on the interview, that's as good as it's ever going to get. But maybe if we listen longer and we spend more time with the candidate, that the real person will come through. You could only hide it for so long.
Yeah. And I've listened, for a few different, candidate that, it just took one lunch. And by the end of the lunch, he was like, I want to make $100 million. I don't know. It was some astronomical number. And I said, sir, this is not for you. You're going to probably
good for you.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Who is your ideal franchise owner, Jean Marie?
It really is somebody that is well capitalized. We do hope that you're at the 50, at least 50,000 liquid, 150 net, because we want you to come in and scale. We really want to position it to where you can do 4 mobiles in a year, because it's very achievable for the business and for the low level of marketing. But they've got to love animals. You have to want safety and comfort of the animals. Preferably you own an animal. You don't have to, but because sometimes, my dog died last year and I just haven't got the gumption to go through that again. I get it. But you really do have to love the animals. We have cameras in our vehicles protecting the animals, because that is safety and comfort of the pets has to be where your heart sits as well.
Wow. As
being capitalized. Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you, what makes Vanity Fur different from your competitors? Because there are so many, mobile dog groomers. First of all, having cameras, I would imagine, in the vehicle has got to be one that you're able to see what's going on. What else would you say stands out as what separates you guys?
Well, so I am the founder and I am a cat and dog groomer, and my team are all cat and dog groomers. And I think that really is going to matter, because when an owner comes to me, and what questions are they going to ask? The business questions, they probably already have a business acumen. They're probably not going to ask me about how to structure, the LLC, although we'll help you with that. They're probably going to come to me and say, we've got Roxy, the golden doodle, and this happened. What do we do? Well, guess who's going to have the best answers? My team. And that also the vans that we have built. I built them based on the struggles that I was a cat and dog groomer. So I know what all of your employees are going to go through. I know what it's like to be in 102-degree weather or more. Right. And be in a mobile where you have an Akita and you have a blow dryer and hair is everywhere and hair's on your face. I know what that is like. And so I know how to best help you in that scenario. So as well as getting your business going and all of that, and how to hire the best people. I mean, really, there's 2 different types of groomers, and then wonderful, and I'm going to make sure that you don't go through having to find your best groomer, help you find the best person to run your business, because our business is our reputation. Sure. Literally. And we are proud to say, I won't say I, because it is we, everything is we, but we still have 14 years later, we have 5-star Yelp reviews. And guess what we do? Every single Yelp 5 Yelp, we celebrate it. We're always in contact with our team. we celebrate everyone, and the one that is bad, because it all happens, and we take such ownership all the way down to the groomers that it's I may have derailed, but we're just so proud about where we are 14 years into it, really.
That's amazing. I would imagine you're not expecting your franchise owners to actually become dog groomers, especially if they're going to have 4 vehicles. They have to hire the right people. If I was going to buy a Vanity Fur franchise, where would I find dog groomers?
Okay, so let me tell you that there is a need for more grooming schools out there, but there are what we've had success with is what we call Petco and PetSmart refugees. Oh. And it's true because they've been, they're like me. They've been encapsulated in 4 walls. Yep. And normally what owners don't understand, owners of pets, the anxiety that goes for your dog to go into your beautiful car, and then you have to drive your dog there's anxiety that starts there. Then they're possibly put in a kennel. Then they're hearing all of the other, so the dogs are high anxiety. So these groomers they learn with PetSmart for a year or 2, and they have to sell. They don't have to do that here with us. It's all inclusive. And there's, they just do the dog and talk to the client and drive to the next stop. So, and it's more autonomous because they are, by themselves, managing themselves, in theory, with us, helping. Sure. But they get to the mobile, and then what we say is once you go mobile, you don't go back, because they come here. The dogs are 100 times better because you're just getting them from the front door. It's just one groomer, one dog at the same time. It's peaceful, it's serene, and they're right back at home. So, so we say once you go mobile, you don't go back. It's true for the groomer. It's true for the owner of the pet, and it's true for the business owner, because you wouldn't go own a grooming shop and a brick and mortar after seeing how easy this business is to get going.
Of course. One of the big drawbacks, besides the obvious expense of having a brick and mortar, is that only so many people are ever going to come to you with a brick and mortar. The beauty of a business of being mobile is you're going to the customers. Like, it opens up so many more potential customers that would have never drove to one brick and mortar.
Absolutely. And, I'll just say this because we're just so proud of it. So Menifee, our Vanity Fur Menifee, had opened here in California, 0 clients. She only had to do a $4,000 spend, and she had 5-day work week, book of clients by month 3.
Wow.
Month 3. We said, wow. And that's, and that was always our problem. We have a lot of competition now, but the truth is, it's really groomers that are owning it. It's not really the owners that we're going to be looking for.
Right.
So, competition, I'm going to use that really loosely.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know a whole lot about your business, but here would be my assumption is that most mobile dog groomers are mom and pop owners. They own one mobile truck, and they are operating the business. They're not thinking big picture, having, a fleet of vehicles, having training and support and social media and all the ways of being able to try to attract and bring people in. They're in the grind, working in the business every day. I love highly fragmented businesses like this. Anything where you have competition, where you're competing with people that are working in the business, not on the business. That just creates just incredible opportunity for those that can see the vision and big picture and know how to scale a business.
Yeah. And groomers out there, if you hear me, your body can't do that until into your 50s. It is not a job that you are going to be able to do forever. So you've got to figure a way out. And when I was in the trenches, that was the first thing I realized, man, this is hard work, and I am a very strong, person, but it's still, I've been doing this for 14 years. How physical I was 14 years ago and today is radically different, unfortunately. But, also when you're grooming, you're managing the clients. You have to do your own reminders. You have to, you're driving.
Yeah, you don't have time to do everything.
Yeah, you have no time to scale it and do any work on your business. You are so far in it. Yeah.
Which then really, as the franchise owner, my job is to work on the business. I'm working more on the marketing, networking, getting out in the community, getting the clients. And letting the groomers do what they do.
Yes. And, for franchise owners, yeah, we want you to get started with the 4 vehicles, starting with one, and then growing to at least the 4 in a single territory. But truth is, you can grow as many in your territory as you want, as the demand, is met. And we realized early, if I didn't spend my money to franchise, in my area, I would probably have 20 plus vehicles easily been able to keep up. And we had to turn away a lot of clients because we just couldn't keep up. And that was excruciating for me.
Well, I really want to commend you on the brilliance, I think, of how you've set this model up is when you set the expectation that somebody needs to have 4 vehicles, it's forcing a potential franchisee to realize that they need to work on the business and grow to scale. Because if you just allowed one truck and just somebody who's going to do that, they're never going to get out of their way. In fact, they're going to be no better than the competition where they're working in the business every day. But when you get people thinking like, here's the vision for the business, you grow, you start out with 1, you get to 4, instantaneously, they need to think differently. They need to think bigger, and they start working on the correct things. With that said, tell me, what is the, first of all, what's the investment range for the franchise? And do you get 1 mobile vehicle with that?
Yes. So right now, how we have it positioned is just the 1 vehicle, 1 territory right now at a time. So that would be 100,000, just under 100,000, but that is for 100% financing of your vehicle, which we highly encourage that, you don't pay it outright, because a vehicle outright can be between about 115,000 if you did buy it outright. So with 100%, financing, and your first 3 months of capital, insurance, equipment, deliver all in 100,000 just to get you started day one, and getting 100% financing for the type of owners that we're looking for is very achievable, extremely achievable, because it's an asset that, can be taken.
How big is the territory?
So the territories right now are between 200 and 300,000 in population. Wow. It won't be that big later. It is big right now. So get in now.
Okay.
before we change it next year, but we are going to change it.
Good for you. Yeah. Anybody that's interested in buying a franchise, hear me now. Jean Marie has made the mistake that we've all made. She's giving away way too much territory, and she's not going to make that mistake very much longer. So get your territory now. I say that truly, I did the same thing. We all give away. The reason why, by the way, that we give away so much territory is we want our franchisees to be super successful. And so we want to give people as much runway as possible. But when we do that, inevitably, they can't get to all the territory. And ultimately, we really hurt the brand, because when they can't penetrate the market as much, that leaves us vulnerable for competition. But I respect and honor that you've given away plenty of territory because you want people to win. And I know that as you start to see franchisees start to really succeed, you'll hone that in. But I get that. Well, so let's, even the way you are today with a territory of that big of a territory, how many vehicles do you think I would eventually have in that size of a territory?
Like I said, in that size, let me just tell you, my manager. Okay, so my manager, Lindsay, she's been running my business, by the way, for like 5 or 6 years. I don't actively run it any longer because that's what I want for my franchisees later.
Right.
It's a good thing to have. So, so one day I said, Lindsay, put on this Post-it note. I want you to write how many vans you think we could have had in this territory in all these years had I not franchised, had we just grown every time that we met. So I wrote a number on my Post-it note, crumbled it up, threw it to her, she threw hers back to me. We both were in the 20 plus range, between 20 and 25 vans. But that was, years. We had a list of all the people that we couldn't keep up with. And I told her, just get their names and numbers. We're coming back for them, and, but, we're going to do it through franchise owners now. I know I can't do it all myself. So.
Well, that was going to bring me to the next thing. So I know that you've got 1 company-owned location. You've got 2 more coming. What are your aspirations in terms of growing? Do you want to continue? I know you have 2 franchises that are currently open. Do you see yourself having this dual strategy where you continue opening company-owned locations, or are we going strictly towards franchising in the go forward?
We're going strictly for franchising.
For you.
I want to do the 2. Let me tell you why I want to do these corporate locations. First, it is cash flow. And you can't fault me for that, right?
Absolutely not.
That's the beauty about being a business owner. If I
Yep.
want to make more money, I put some more vehicles, some more employees to work.
Good for you.
And it wins everybody. So I want to do this more, that I have people in those areas that really want to be franchisees. They are just undercapitalized right now at this point,
Sure.
but they want to work for Vanity Fur. And so this is a great way to get them started and running and managing the business and, developing these people to help me run those locations.
Good for you. I personally, again, I really love the fact that you're going forward with strictly franchising, and I don't fault you at all for having the 2 additional company-owned locations. I think if anything else, you're still going to learn other things by having these additional company-owned locations, and it validates your brand, validates your business more when you're talking to potential franchisees, as well as when you have a whole network of franchise owners and they can't say, but Jean Marie, you don't understand. You don't have a location. You have 3, and I'm going to guess that all 3 are going to be a little bit different. They're going to have different experiences, and you're going to learn something from all 3, and your franchisees in the future are going to benefit from you doing this.
Absolutely. And the markets that we're going into, because I'm going 30 miles north and 30 miles south, I know it's still in California,
right?
But the median household incomes are going to be vastly different.
Great.
So we just see the different price structures.
Sure.
And we're going to do that so that whoever opens wherever across the country, we can say, well, here's what you want to do in this price, point. So
of course. Well, we know that people will spend money on their animals and their kids.
Yes.
And I found that it is an extremely recession resistant business if you could be in the kids or animal business, for sure. We will do whatever we need to do for our kids and our animals. Sometimes even more for our animals than our kids.
Yeah, but you shouldn't say that out loud.
No, I didn't say that. But my kids would understand. They were like, yeah, we did like everything for Dylan. That was our chocolate lab. So we all get it. But people are crazy about their animals, and they will do anything for their animals.
Oh, we have clients for years grooming their dogs every week.
Yes.
And, it's great for us, But.
Okay, I just have to ask you a technical question. I actually have a neighbor who has a mobile dog groomer like across the street, like every week. And me and my family, we kind of joke. We're like, oh my gosh, the poor dog's skin must be so irritated. Are you supposed to really get your dog groomed every week?
Okay, so here's the inside scoop. We love that you do, but you probably don't need. I mean, if you have allergies and you're sleeping with your dog every night,
right,
perhaps there are friendly shampoos for that. But for the average American, our clients go a 2-week, 4-week, 6-week, and 8-week. Usually the 4 to 8 week range is ideal.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, and our clients also recur. Like we're on like 3 generations of dogs at this point. And,
wow, of course.
I mean, for so long that they will stay. And even, unfortunately, like this doggy dies, they get the new one. Then we start with the puppy and,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. One of the crazy statistics that your company's even too young, as long as you've been around, you're still too young to even know, is really what's the true lifetime value of a customer. Because a lot of people, right, they get another animal after one passes. You have an incredible amount of lifetime value. So it's so important to take care of these clients. They are really a high ticket client.
Yeah. And it's even we've seen, where maybe a spouse dies or divorces and then, and then if they get a divorce and she moves over to the, that's just, it works too.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Because, it's really so relationship based. I think, if I were to give you like the biggest pain point in mobile pet grooming,
right?
People out there swear that only Lindsay can groom my dog or
of
only
course.
Jessica can groom my dog. And groomer change can be difficult. But we just tell the client, look, you're still going to get it the Vanity Fur way. It's still going to be safe and comfortable. We're going to know everything about your dog, Cooper. Don't worry. And then they give us a few grooms. We'll be fine. And usually it settles because nobody likes change.
Of course. And we don't know if Cooper's going to go with the mom or dad if they get divorced. We need to find out where We need to know where Cooper's going.
Or is it custody? Like, are we doing custody? Who knows?
We need to know this stuff. So it sounds like 2 great areas of marketing is with divorce attorneys and realtors.
I'm like, yeah, yeah, they're all winning.
Right, right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, let's get back on track here. Jean Marie, let's talk about expectations. You know, it's so challenging as a founder. We have these, you know, aspirations and expectations. How do we help manage our own expectations? I know that's a challenge that we all have. And, you know, I was looking at my notes, and how do you balance your own expectations of growth and success?
So I had to learn some hard lessons here. I really was the horse coming out of the gate when I came into franchising. I really thought it would be like that. I have a lot of franchise founder friends that felt the same. And you really need to just educate yourself, podcast, all the books, go to the IFAs, go to as many conferences as you can. You know, take in as much, and then you really kind of in the first couple of years start to realize that this is going to be a marathon and not the sprint. So I had to learn those expectations through my mistakes. So now I know, you know, if you asked me, what do you plan on? What's your growth pattern? If you asked me this a year ago or 2 years ago, I would say 150 franchise. We're going to do 150 territories in the next, 3 to 5 years. Now, if you ask me, I'll be so happy to do 15 in the next 5 years.
Good for you.
Just scale it back, dial it down, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
What do you think is your vision, like kind of like long term for the company? Where would you love to take this? What's your dream scenario?
Oh, my dream scenario. We're in every market, even rural areas. You know, I really want, I franchise because I wanted safe and comfortable pet grooming for all the pets. That's where it started. I really want that. And I want people to have the experience that I've had. I don't have to work. I don't have to work anymore. You know, like I want that for people. I want this everywhere. I want clients to get service. People can't find a mobile groomer. I mean, I had a gentleman call me from Louisiana and he says, I'm done. I can't get my dog groomed because of the wait. You know, I can't get a call back from these mobile groomers. It's going to be 3 months to get my dog in. And so I want as many dogs as possible, and cats, by the way, we do, to be serviced by us safely and comfortably. That's my vision, however far it takes us. But I want to go as far as possible. And I know that'll be a bigger team later, but they're all going to be as amazing as we are, period. So it's going to be fun all the way, however far we can.
Oh, I bet. I know you're going to keep the culture exactly how, you need it to be. And having those expectations in check on how many franchises are sold, you're really on the right track. There's too much we see too much in the news in franchising about, I don't want to blame broker groups or franchise sales organizations, because it's just the founders that create their brand and hire franchise salespeople in-house and have these astronomical goals are just as guilty. So I don't want to pin it on anybody, but it's okay to have great aspirations and great goals of numbers of what you hope to achieve. But when you kind of put the cart before the horse, so to speak, and hoping for these numbers and not be able to support franchise owners, you're just going to hurt your brand. And that's why it's like really, I say you have to be really careful when you grow. It has to be careful growth. You hear this term all the time about responsible franchising, and it's beaten to death. I'm so tired of the term. Responsible franchise, you always were supposed to be responsible franchising. That's never changed. But there's, I think, a greater influence now on people to want to grow faster and have more and grow before the competition comes in. And you just can't grow faster than you can handle. And everybody has a different speed.
I agree. And I think there's enough out there for all of us, even if
totally.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, there's way too many dogs and cats that, quite honestly, your business is never going to get to. And it's okay. You can still be the brand name, the biggest brand name in the industry, and have a sliver of the market. And I think that's the key thing, is how to look at your business. There's certain businesses where you can have the lion's share of the market, and there's other businesses that you can have a sliver of the market and be wildly successful, beyond your wildest dreams. And in your case, you're never going to get to every animal and even close in a territory, no matter how small you make the territory.
Yeah, I know.
Jean Marie, what's been, since you've been franchising a few years now, what's been your biggest aha moment or surprise since you started?
Well, I'm sure, and I may have already hit on it, but the biggest surprise really was that it isn't a sprint, it is a marathon, and the time investment, the money investment, really just all the different paths. That was a big surprise to me because, I was going to find a book for the franchise founder, and it was going to show me exactly what I needed to do, and I was going to do it. You can't really find that. And then when you get in here, in this franchise land, as I call it, there's so many different ways. And you talk to this founder or that founder or somebody that's been in it for, 100 years. Everybody's done it so differently. Sure. And so you just got to find your path and what works for you. And what I'm doing this year might be different from what I'm doing next year.
True.
But you know what? It's such a fun journey. It really is. Like the journey is it is that roller coaster. That's why I have this. It is that. It's those phases like, oh my gosh. And then you're just like, oh my gosh. And then, it's up, down.
It is.
But just enjoy that because it's a part of it.
Yeah. Well, the key thing is that when you really, really love the business like you do, you see it as that roller coaster ride and are enjoying those rides up and down. But for somebody that's in a business that they're not enjoying, when they're on that same roller coaster, they're not having that same experience. Their tongue is not hanging out of their mouth and their paws are not straight up in the air either. They're
the ones that pass out like in the video.
Exactly. Pass out, or they're so angry and frustrated because when they have those lows, they're really steep lows that they're so angry or frustrated. And that's why you need to be in a business, I believe, that you're really passionate about because you can get through those crazy roller coaster lows.
Oh man, 1,000%. I will say there has been a couple of times in all these years where I'm done. I'm done. Sure. And we all get there.
We've all been there.
Yeah. And then, I think we're driving from Vegas to Southern California. It's a 4-hour drive. And I'm listening to Think and
Grow Rich? Yeah, of course.
So I'm listening to that and that story just, I listened to the story and at the time I was like, and then when I started living it, the story was 3 feet before gold. The gold miners come in and they're digging and they're digging and they're digging forever. And then they give up. Yes. And then the next guys come in and 3 feet and they strike gold and so that literally, I just have to tell myself, you're 3 feet before, just hang in there.
I saw this. That was one of my big aha moments in franchising. I would say about 3 years in, right? So I had been franchising for about 3 years. So I had more than a few franchisees that I was seeing, the ones that were doing well. And so the ones that were struggling. And interestingly enough, when I would talk to a franchise owner that was struggling, that had been in for 3 years, if you really listen to the conversation, I had a guy in Cincinnati who he worked hard, but he wasn't having the kind of success that other franchise owners was having. His problem was that he would look back and say, but I've been doing this for 3 years. So his assumption was he had to keep striking before he didn't know when he was going to hit that gold, but he kept looking back saying, well, if I'd done this 3 years, he didn't have a vision for how much further he had to go. In other words, he thought, oh my gosh, I can't imagine doing this for another 3 years. He was so close to success, but he kept thinking about the past on how long he had been doing it, while other franchise owners would just focus on being present, doing the right thing. And just, if I keep hammering it and keep doing what needs to be done, success is going to happen. And it's really, it comes down to mindset. We talk about Tony and, and other personal development kind of people, but it really comes down to, this is mindset. This is not woo woo. This is the difference really, people, between succeeding and failing. Wouldn't you agree, Jean Marie?
1,000%. And I was watching one of your podcasts just recently for I don't remember which one, because I've been looking at many of them.
Oh, thanks.
By the way. But Tony Robbins had said, it's not happening, whatever this is, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Right.
And if I don't subscribe to that in my personal life and in business, you're going to feel that low. And the low is going to be an ugly low, not just a low I'm going to get through and I'm only going to allow it in my life for a minute and we're going to move past this.
Right.
We got to move past it, because otherwise it could get dark and ugly and scary down there.
Well, guess what? As a founder, I got news for other founders. Wherever you are, it's going to get more challenging. Sorry.
Yeah.
So this is why you need to build up that strength and realizing that when life is not happening, it seems like it's not happening for you, and you feel like it's happening to you, to really ask yourself that question: why is this person in my life? Why am I having this challenge? And start to think inside, what are maybe the things I need to learn that I didn't learn the first, second, or third time? Or what is this person really trying to teach me? Because if we can figure that out when we have greater challenges or have more franchisees, it just magnifies the problems. That's why we need to figure stuff out when we're small. That's the reason why we don't grow to 150 franchises overnight, because it's like not knowing how to drive or being a brand new driver and then getting behind the wheel of a Ferrari and flooring it. You're going to crash.
You're going to crash.
Yeah.
And one more tidbit I would just say, don't compare yourself. Don't look on the LinkedIn and see that they just awarded, this many. Don't do that, because it's just, you'll have your story later. I'll have my story later.
Totally.
I'm going to have your story later. So.
Absolutely. Everybody has their story, of course.
Yeah.
But I love that. Well, isn't that the whole social media thing?
Yeah,
that, you're always going to put, what's going great on in social media. And that's, another story probably of, issues that, kids are having these days. But the fact is that we don't know the story. When somebody says we've awarded our 100th franchise in 6 months, you don't know if they financed all these people, if they let everybody through, if they do a background check or not, if they do a credit check or not, if they have any kind of vetting process other than fogging a mirror. You have no idea who these people are. So take it with a grain of salt, like you're saying.
I just want to say, because we are what I call micro emerging, we're so brand new, but whoever is interested, now is the time for
I agree.
This.
I agree. With that said, Jean Marie, if someone was interested in learning more about Vanity Fur and being part of your brand, where would they go?
So they can go to the website. Go start there, vanityfurfranchise.com. You can also call 866-OWN-PET-BIZ, B-I-Z. You can even just email me directly, Jean, Jean, at vanityfurs.com. And we're ready. So.
I love it. I love the company. I love the name. And I am rooting for you. I know you got this. I am rooting for your success. And thank you so much for being on the show. One last thing. I end every podcast with the tip jar, because the franchise community is so generous. So I don't care if would you call yourself a micro-merging franchisor? Is that what you...
Yeah, I'm micro-merging.
Fine, you're micro-merging, but guess what? You've been in this long enough. If you were talking to an entrepreneur that wanted to franchise their concept, what would be a piece of advice that you would give them before they jump into franchising?
Before they jump into franchising, I would say find the right advisors, get franchise advisory, so a reputable company, and any company and attorney that you work with, just vet them out. Find 3 or 4 and really vet them out before you go give your money to anybody that comes to take it. So I would say that.
Fantastic advice. That is a veteran response right there, not a micro-emerging franchisor.
Don't do what I did.
We've all been there. That's another story, though. All right. Well, Jean Marie, thanks so much for being on today's show. I appreciate it, and again, wish you all the best.
Thank you, Frank, so much. I appreciate it and love your podcast.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.